Streaming now.
Thank you very much. We're now live. Welcome to this meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee. We have two applications to determine, UK Elite Sport and Outpost Cafe. Could I ask for nominations for a chair, please? Does anybody wish to propose anybody?
I will, Chair. I will propose that Councillor Brian Sargent chairs this meeting tonight.
Could I have a seconder?
And I second that Brian Sargent be the chair of this meeting.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. So Councillor Brian Sargent is duly appointed as chairman of the subcommittee for today's hearing. Before I hand over to the chair, just a reminder for members of the public and anybody in the meeting to put your phones on silent or switch them off. If you have to leave the meeting at any point, let us know. But over to the chairman, Councillor Brian Sargent.
Good morning. We'll go straight into item 2. Of my fellow councillors, any declaration of interest on these items?
Chair, should we introduce ourselves?
I'm going to get to that then.
Okay. No, Chair.
No, Chair.
Keith, thank you. Thank you. We're going to do item 4 first today for expedience and speed. I'd like to introduce the Democratic Services people. There's Richard Woods and Maisie McGuinness, who are IT people in the background. There's Alan Parr, our legal man. And there's 3 councillors. I am Brian Sargent. I'm the member for Sixfields. Sally?
Councillor Sally Beersworth, councillor for Kingsthorpe in Northampton.
Keith?
And I am councillor for Bellingham Rectory Farm in Northampton.
Thank you. Thank you. The licensing officer, the enforcement officer, is Martin O'Connell. Would the applicant like to introduce himself? Mr. Newman?
Hi, I'm Glenn Newman, Director of UK Elite Sports Limited with Traders Northampton Active, the Whitewater Rafting Centre on the Bedford Road.
Thank you, sir. Has everybody got an agenda?
Yes.
Any questions on procedure?
No, Chair.
Any preliminary questions?
No, Chair.
No, Chair.
Martin O'Connell, our enforcement officer, will introduce his report.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to consider an application for a new premises licence submitted by UK Elite Sport UK, trading as Northampton Active at the 8th L Spencer Centre for Young People on the Old Bedford Road, Northampton. An application was submitted on behalf of the proposed licence holder by its director, Mr. Glenn Newman. The application was received by Northampton Borough Council, West Northampton Council on the 27th of April 2021. The premises to which this application applies is a whitewater rafting outdoor activity and conference and event venue, and has applied for some regulated activities as outlined below to complement and supplement these activities. The premises has an expected maximum attendance at any one time of 200 people. Licensable activities applied for are as follows. They are for the consumption of alcohol on and off the sale of alcohol for consumption on and off the premises, for films, for live music, for recorded music, and for late night refreshment. The hours for all of these activities are Monday to Sunday, 10 in the morning until 23:59 hours each evening. The opening hours reflect the licensable hours. The proposed designated premises supervisor is Mr. Glenn Newman, the holder of a personal licence issued by South Northampton District Council, as was. When a request for a new premises licence or sub-premises certificate is received, the applicant must display a notice at or near the premises and serve a copy of the application onto the responsible authorities. For electronic applications, it is required for the local authority to serve the copy of the application onto the responsible authorities, which is what's happened. This gives up responsible authorities and interested parties the opportunity to make representations in relation to the application for a period of 28 calendar days. The last date for making representations on this application was the 25th of May 2021. The obligatory notice was displayed on the premises as verified by licensing officers, as was the newspaper advertisement. Northamptonshire Police have considered the application, and PC Sandy Tracy, licensing officer, have made a contact with the applicant and put forward some licence conditions which Mr Newman has accepted on behalf of UK Elite Sport Limited. However, as such, these conditions significantly change the operating schedule as at the point of application, and this now requires scrutiny from the licensing committee for them to decide as per the options at 7.1 of this report below. Environmental Protection have considered the above mentioned premises licence application pertinent to the licensing objective of the prevention of public nuisance, but made no representation, and there are no other representations from responsible authorities or the public. The local authority is required to send a notice of the hearing to all interested parties and request confirmation of attendance. A notice of this hearing was sent to those persons on the 3rd of June this year. Mr. Glenn Newman has obviously replied that he will be attending and is in attendance today. However, PC Sandy Tracy said that she will not attend, given the reason that she's already agreed the conditions with the applicant and doesn't feel that she needs to. A plan of the premises and layout location is included in this report. If representations are received, then at the end of the consultation period, the licensing authority must hold this hearing to consider them, and it must take such steps as it considers appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives, which are the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. The steps the subcommittee can take are to grant the licence subject to conditions it considers appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives, and those which it must grant, it must impose under sections 19, 20 and 21 of the Licensing Act. It can exclude from the scope of the licence application any licensable activity to which the application relates. It can refuse to specify a person in the licence as the premises supervisor, or it can reject the application altogether. In making its decision, it must make take each case in its own merits, and must consider the statement of licensing policy, and the guidance issued under section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003, of which section 9 gives guidance for the determination of this application. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any questions for the officer, fellow councillors?
Just have one, Chair, if I may. I know the area fairly well, but there are very little residential around there, and very close to another pub, which is just further along on the Bedford Road. Well, actually two, but one fairly close. But has the people that are resident in the area been notified? That's all.
The requirement is for the advertisement to go up on the premises and for the advertisement to go into the paper. And there is no other requirement for the consultation process, Councillor.
That's fine, as long as they've had notice, that's the main thing, they've seen notice. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Bearsworth.
I have no further questions.
You haven't any questions, sir? Applicant to present his representation.
Okay, so
Mr. Newman, far away.
hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. So we're the operating company for Northampton Active, the biggest outdoor activity centre in the region. Historically, the premises has had a premises licence prior to me taking over. We're hoping to gain this again to further develop different areas of the business in other directions. We have a beautiful little cafe that we've developed since lockdown, attracts more people from outside of the activities that take place at the centre, so business people, business meetings, so on and so forth. Additionally, we've got two really nice event spaces in the building. We hope to be able to use these for parties, events, weddings, birthday celebrations, and so on, to enable us to secure a sustainable future for the centre and the business. We had a really tough 18 months, and we've looked at various other options, and this is one of our ways of developing and recouping some of our losses. We're hoping to serve alcohol within our cafe and our function suites to the general public, and we hope to host birthday party celebrations and weddings here as well. As a director of another premises that has a premises license in Daventry, a wedding and events venue that we applied for 9 years ago, we have measures and systems in place to enable us to meet the 5 objectives. So the issues that have risen from this application have been addressed. For example, CCTV 30-day recording has now been sorted out, and we have CCTV cameras dotted around the premises at key points. We will include and implement the Challenge 25 scheme with valid ID forms such as pass, approved cards, driving license and passports. The above process will be documented with our staff as part of their training process. These are processes that we've already got, by the way, for our water activities. So it's just tweaking those to event staff and bar staff and cafe staff as well. So a relatively simple fix there. We'll introduce a refusal register. We'll operate Challenge 25 and display the appropriate signage next to sale points and prompts on our till as well. Additional things we'll consider, given the locality and the nature of our day-to-day activities, we will write into our activity terms and conditions anybody using the water-based activities, anybody that is seen to have consumed alcohol, we won't allow them onto the water. So another safety protocol that we're going to introduce, and we'll actively monitor people leaving the site later on in the evening for any parties or events that we have on site, to make sure that they get home safely and obviously don't cause a nuisance to anybody in the surrounding area. So to sum up, really, to open up new revenue streams to secure business and the site for the future is paramount to us, and this license will help to enable us to make sure that that happens and progress the business in the future. Has anybody got any questions?
I'm supposed to do that bit. But my concern on this one was, which you've covered, was water and alcohol don't mix.
Absolutely.
You may serve them water, but actually going in the water then doesn't mix. Any questions from my fellow councillors?
Well, just to follow on from that one, Councillor Sargent, is what sort of barriers have you put up from the Whitewater area to the area where people would have recreation, such as parties and things like that, to stop them doing silly things?
So the Whitewater area is actually on the opposite side of the river, so it's it's about a 2 or 3 minute walk away from the building that we propose to use for the consumption of alcohol. So yeah, essentially there is a space, but we would actively monitor that during the course of an event anyway. So
yes, that's grand. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Any questions, Keith?
I'm really happy to hear that they've considered those factors. So I'm happy with the fact that they've looked at every angle.
Thank you, sir. Martin O'Connell, to sum up.
I have no summary other than to say that on page 43 of your report, you have the proposed conditions that have been proposed by the police and agreed by Mr. Newman. So they're all there for you to see, which do, like Mr. Newman says, cover the CCT aspect of it, the refusals register, the proof of age, etc. It also talks about the removal of glass from the licensable area, which isn't allowed, and just the training for the staff. So it's pretty much all covered, as Mr. Newman said, in the conditions that he's agreed and that would be applied to the licence if it was granted.
Thank you. I think Mr. Newman summed up well enough with his presentation. Everybody happy?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chair.
We'll deliberate on this, Mr. Newman, and you will have the written decision in the post, and you have 21 days to appeal if you're not happy with it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Do I leave now?
I wish you well with your business.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
sir.
Okay, shall we go into chambers?